everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kyla and today I'm trying to find some solution to my yarn storage and also my knitting supply storage. This year is the year that I remember just how much I enjoyed knitting, and since I found that out, I have accumulated a lot of yarn, a lot of knitting needles, a lot of supplies for knitting, and even crochet hooks, and I've officially run out of space. I've been storing them anywhere and everywhere I can put it. I've shoved balls of yarn into my closet, balls of yarn into random boxes, left them on the floor, and have put them on the bottom shelf of my rolling cart. But my room has become overflown with balls of yarn and knitting supplies that I need a more dedicated yarn and knitting supplies storage. So I went to Ikea to try and find something that I could use, and I was thinking along the lines of the calyx, or at least something similar. Now, trying to find something was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. There's just so many options and so many choices that I didn't even know where to begin. I didn't know if I wanted something to have drawers or something to have doors, or if I wanted a more open shelving unit. And I also knew that I didn't have a whole lot of space, so I couldn't do something super tall or something super wide. I also wanted there to be a lot of space in terms of depth, so if I were to shove a bunch of balls into the box, it would fit a lot more than what you would expect. I spent about a week scrolling and trying to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like, and just trying to figure out what would fit, and measured constantly. So many different measurements floating around in my head. I didn't know what to do. There's just so many options, and of course I didn't want to break the bank with it, like $500. I don't think so. Then I saw this Eket wall cabinet, and I loved it. It has a door, and it looked fairly similar to a calyx, which was my idea in the first place. And then there was just so many different types of Ekets, with doors, without doors, different colors, and I wanted something that wasn't white and fit in with my space. And since the Eket had the planner, I decided to go for this one. At first I was overwhelmed with this, but I saw the storage combination with legs and I thought, yes, that looks like something I want, and this green is a beautiful color. But I decided I didn't really like the door, so I played around with multiple different arrangements to try and get to where I ended up. At first I was thinking about doing it 3 wide, and I was playing around with the pattern of the colors, and I did decide to go for this pattern with the wooden legs. And I tried to see what would make the most sense for me, what would fit in the best to my room. Then I realized that the L looked kind of weird and started playing around with different heights. I almost went for this 3 wide, but decided that it was not enough space. I almost went for something this tall, but then the stacking would be weird, so I decided against it. I ended up with a 4-high box with wooden legs. It cost me about $125, and yes, that is very expensive. Don't forget the tax, because that adds a lot too, but somehow I ended up choosing this, one of the more expensive options. I did play around with maybe just going for the straight up square here, but it wouldn't fit my space. The measurements are here, and that was it. This is literally what I chose. I am so happy with it. It looks super cute. And off to Ikea we went to try and see if I can find this set and build it, and hopefully they had it in stock. So we'll see. I hadn't been to Ikea in a while, so I am pretty happy to be seeing it, even though we can't do the normal walk around. But here we are at Ikea, and the whole time we were driving over to Ikea, I was watching the stock of the items, and everything had fairly okay stock. It seemed like I was gonna get everything, and then literally as we were walking in the middle of Ikea, the stock for the legs dropped down to 0. So instead of the cute wooden legs to match the cute wooden box, I had to get the metal looking legs, which was okay. Future me says it works out fine because you don't really see the legs, but I was hoping for that extra wooden accent. Once we got everything, it was time to drive back home and hopefully start to build everything. So I carried everything upstairs, which trying to do this on a carpeted floor was a bad idea. I didn't realize you had to push down the pieces to snap it shut, so I constantly kept going downstairs to get help from my dad and also to use the flat hardwood floor. Right now I'm just trying to rip open one box, and we're taking it one box at a time, and this ended up being the bottom box just because I struggled with it. And I only show me trying to open one of these boxes and only trying to build one of these boxes because I moved downstairs to do everything. So everything that I carried upstairs was a complete waste of my energy because I ended up building everything downstairs where I had it in the first place. So I was reading the instructions and completely missed the fact that I had to snap the pieces together, and I didn't want to do that, so I got my dad to help me. So on this day I built all 4 boxes, and the next day I assembled everything together, which was somewhat doable. I was able to do that all in my room because I think I would have gone crazy if I didn't build the entire thing in my room. If you're interested in this Eket cabinet organizer or the Eket system itself, I will have it linked in the description box below, as well as a vase that I bought from Ikea that I'm using as a decorative piece for the shelf. So everything will be linked in the description box below. So the structure of this one box is 4 sides, and then there's an insert. So it is like a cube with one opening, and it looks pretty big. It's supposed to be 35 centimeters in depth, but it definitely looked a lot bigger, especially with the green boxes. So these planks are actually the all four sides, and the small insert thingy is the back piece. That's the core structure of my entire shelving unit, is four of these boxes stacked together and pinned or held together in place with the brackets that you have to buy, and then the legs on the bottom. I like the fairly simple structure because, like I mentioned, I wanted a calyx looking thing originally, and this definitely gives me calyx vibes, but I'm just able to customize it more in terms of colors, structure, and legs. Here I am proudly showing my handiwork because that is one box done and 3 more to go. It's the next day and we are doing the final assembly, which is putting on the legs and attaching the 4 boxes. Now, you just saw a peek of the green box, green-gray, but I'm gonna call it green. And I really love the color. It definitely ties into a few things in my room, so good choice, I would say. So I'm going to be attaching the legs onto one of the wooden boxes, and the legs do come with its own instructions, so we're just gonna follow those instructions and hopefully it all goes according to plan. I know I said that this structure looked fairly easy to build, according to the images that I saw on Ikea's website. But I definitely struggled on this a lot. I spent this entire day working on trying to finish this shelf, which I do end up finishing it, but it was getting pretty dark by the time that I finished. The instructions of putting the legs on make it look so easy, but it definitely is not easy. It took a lot of manpower, a lot of strength, and a lot of my dad's help. Again, I would not have been able to finish this shelving unit. I would still probably be working on this shelving unit 2 months later if I didn't have help from my dad. I do cut out me struggling to shove on these legs, but I do want to say that for some reason, one of the legs warped the wood plank and it would not go in, so I have one loose leg. Luckily, it is a back leg, and everything that I'm storing on this shelving unit is fairly light, so hopefully everything is okay and it stays all in place, but literally it didn't work out. I don't know what happened, but it was a crazy time with that one. Jumping ahead, I now have all 4 legs on the shelf, and that means it is time to start stacking up the boxes. So I'm doing these 2 boxes first because the other 2 boxes are still downstairs, and I'm again reading the instructions as carefully as I can, and then it's basically putting this bracket looking thing and shoving something in the hole so it doesn't move. I'm not explaining it in the most glamorous way, but that's basically the gist. I basically have to do it for all of the holes in between the shelves, so that is 6 in total, I think. I'm just finishing up attaching these 2 boxes together, but once that's over, I'm gonna go run downstairs, grab the other 2 boxes, bring them back upstairs, and then attach them to the base, and we should be done soon.
I put it sideways. One is supposed to go up here. I get why it looks weird now. Cool. Moving on.
So yes, I did put this wooden box on sideways. The one is supposed to go on top, but I put it on the left, which is why the holes didn't line up exactly perfect. But luckily, this Eket cubes are very versatile in the way that you can literally customize it to be any shape that you want it to be, so they have holes on all sides. So it took a little bit of wiggling, but the brackets and the screw thingies managed to fit and go in properly, so it ends up being all good. It is still fairly sturdy. The only thing that isn't sturdy is the foot. So the shelves and the boxes themselves are perfectly fine. So, like I said, moving on. Thumbs up means that it's officially done and the shelf is all bit, and now we just have to go through the trouble of clearing everything out of the corner that the shelf will live in and trying to get the shelf itself into that corner. In hindsight, I probably should have cleared it out first and built the shelf in the corner itself, because I could barely squeeze in the shelf. It was quite the process trying to get it in, but I managed to do it eventually after a bit of lifting and wiggling and internally crying. But the shelf does wiggle itself into the corner, and then after that it's all about trying to get it as close to the wall as possible so that it is sort of leaning against the wall and has that wall support, but is also not gonna fall. Luckily, the feet bottoms are adjustable, so each leg can be a different height, and then that means I can take off the pressure from the loose foot and sort of put it on the other 3 feet. Now I am opening some new bags of yarn and organizing the shelves and the yarns. In this video, I don't have as much yarn as I do now. I got about 2 more big balls since this video and have used up 1. So you'll see some different colors of yarn, and I wasn't sure how I wanted it to look, but it ended up being the second box as a more pastel area because I have a lot of the purple balls of yarn and the blue balls of yarn, so everything else but that purple, blue, and yellow went on the first shelf. I am just organizing everything. I didn't really have a plan into how I wanted this organization to look, but I organized it somehow, and then that vase, I do put my knitting needles in it. I put it in the video, then I remove the knitting needles out of that vase, but I decide to throw it back on. And then now I'm just organizing all of my knitting supplies and putting that at the very bottom shelf. But yeah, now it is dark. It is the end of the day, and I'm just organizing the 4 boxes as well as a little bit of decoration at the top of the box. I added in the project I was working on. Now I just have some shots of the shelf that night, and what I did with it, the top is currently empty. I threw on some mood lighting to sort of give some party vibes because that was how I was feeling. I wanted to party and cheer that I was done with this. And then here's another day with the shelf decorated at the top. I added in a box, a hat, a bag, a plant, and a little jewelry box. I thought that this would be the end of it, but I added in the vase. And then this is how the rolling cart moved over. This is the current version of the shelf. I have the vase with my knitting needles to add a pop of color and a different shape and some height. And I added in another jewelry box and some more balls of yarn. I'm really happy with how everything turned out. It is so pretty. There's so much space and I can keep adding and changing what's inside the boxes. And I think this is a good starting point, and that this unit will grow with me and with my knitting. And I'm thinking of adding like a command hook to this side, so if I do get a whole nother box full of yarn, I can just hang my current project off of that command strip and hide it against the wall so that no one will know that it's there. I have a lot of ideas on how to keep building up this yarn storage, and I'm so happy with how everything turned out. Thank you for joining me on this yarn storage building shelf journey. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.